Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Raw Daddy Hour, hosted by yours truly, Raw Daddy to God. Grandma, I see you. Thank you. You're back. Did you bring your grandson? You should have. Let me introduce you guys to my guests on the panel today. To my left, we have Miss Indago back on the set. You already know, man. Yeah, come on now. Man needs no introduction. Quadjo, Shad, Drip God, Camera King, whatever you want to call him. He is on set. Today, we are talking about pornography. Is porn toxic? Is it something we should abolish? Is it a beautiful thing? Is it,
abolish? Bro, relax, dog.
What?
Relax.
See who likes it?
Relax.
No, but is it, is it good for society? Is it bad? How we feeling? So, Shad, I'm gonna start with you first. How do you feel about porn?
I think it's a great thing if you use it responsibly. Now, what's responsible is up to you. But nah, seriously, I don't look down on porn. I think it's something that it can be great for a relationship or for yourself if you choose to. But I know there are people who think otherwise. Some people think it's the devil and it should be, Terry Crews doesn't like porn. He thinks it destroys relationships and marriages and lives and things like that. So,
I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I've definitely watched a few scenes and had a good time with them. So I am all for porn. Just like Shad said, you have to use it responsibly. You can't just be a creep with it. But I think porn is for everyone.
What's a creep with it, though?
Like watching it having to masturbate every hour, or just like watching, that's all you do. Like, there's people who
use
do
it
that.
responsibly.
It's the addiction.
Yeah.
I'm definitely for porn. Like, I think it's beautiful. I think it's dope. I think it's their expression, like them expressing the thoughts and stuff that they have. And to me, if you can do it in a controlled environment where it's consensual and everybody wants to be down with the get down and whatever, like, do your thing. Definitely some cognitive, you definitely have to be mentally prepared to dive down that realm, because you do have to realize that this is fantasy. This is not like, you're not about to just meet somebody at the bar and they're gonna be down to do, half the stuff that you just watched. But I'm definitely for it. I mean, I'm not here protesting for the abolishment of pornography. I think it's pretty dope. Shad, let me start with you on this one. How do you feel, whether positively or negatively, porn affects society?
I think right now, the way porn, and not even porn, but sexualized content is rampant in society is a problem, because of how easily accessible it is to the youth. I think just being able, bro, you could go on Twitter and find shit and it's just like out there in the open, dog. And I think, like you said, like, you have to be like mentally strong in order to navigate all that. Because if that stuff you're consuming as a child and you don't really have any conversation around how to responsibly go about it, it can turn into a problem. So I mean, again, I'm one for porn, but I think with the way that it sits in society at this moment, I feel like it's a very dangerous thing.
Actually, I know you, well, not with you, is you who mentioned it. Do you feel there's validity to porn destroying relationships?
I mean, I've never had a problem. Like, I would be the woman in the relationship to be like, let's turn on porn or try different things, but if it gets to a point in a relationship where I don't really see how that could ruin a relationship, actually. Like, I mean, unless he's just like too addicted and he's not paying attention to his wife, or the wife's not paying attention to the man, yeah, it can destroy a relationship if they're just like not giving that attention to their spouse. But other than that, like, no.
What if you came home and you saw your man repeatedly, like, there, not one instance, but like multiple times, you come home and you see him handling business. He watches something.
I mean, whatever, as long as when I walk in the house, then he's all about me, and let's do it together, and I'm cool with it.
All right,
you know,
okay.
like,
But there are I feel like that's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
because there are
there
people
are,
who feel like porn is cheating.
They prefer it.
Cheating?
I think that's where.
that's so weird.
I think intention. You just hit on intention, because if it was like, dang, I'm by myself, like I gotta do this by myself, then that's one thing. But there are people who prefer the feeling of handling business by themselves with porn over the feeling of their mate.
That is very. See, I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's a real
That's
thing.
very strange to me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just can be single, why even get in a relationship if you feel like that?
Now that part I don't know. Maybe they enjoy their mate in other aspects of life, like as far as emotional support and all of that stuff. But there are definitely people like there was a movie about that.
But weird.
But I
what
think
movie?
Don John, I think was the name of it.
I never heard of it. But I think that's where the fantasy comes into play. And I think a lot of times in those kind of instances, it's like the person who is indulging in the porn, they're in their fantasy world. And maybe perhaps their mate isn't ready to act on their fantasy, like, shit. I remember like years ago, he had this conversation about, I got a homie who, I'm trying to figure out how to go. And I don't have a problem telling the story. I just want to make sure it's not too much for the pod. His wife would not, during oral, she would not finish him the way that he wanted to be finished. Yeah. And this shit was frustrating for him. Like, he used to get boiling hot upset. So it's like, that's like for him, it was like, this shit really, really annoys me. But you look at it on the other side, it's like, I mean, he can go into a fantasy world and take care of that need.
Yeah.
So it's like.
I remember when I was in LA, I actually got approached by a guy who asked me to do porn. And I thought about it for a second. I was like, wait, how much am I gonna get paid? But I was like, I don't think I would be able to be a normal person after that. Like, I think it would fuck me up mentally, and I would definitely have to be a strong person. I don't think I would be able to carry on with myself. I would probably definitely be a toxic
Question for you, Shad, based on the story you just told, right? Some would say that it's porn's fault in the beginning for giving him that expectation of the way his woman should finish him. Do you view that as a problem? Because honestly, I'm gonna be real, like, I think majority of people's imaginations don't stretch as far as what they could search on the internet. And if not exposed to it, they would have never thought about it. They'd have been like still doing their regular and been cool with that and just been like, yippee. But now that you saw this new move that probably isn't comfortable in real life, but you saw this
Jack
new
Harlow.
move. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Jack Harlow, perfect example.
What is that?
And it's like, now you want to try it, and your girl is like, look, I'm not a pretzel. I don't bend that way. But a lot of people will point to porn like, listen, those expectations now that you have, like your sexual expectations are rising based on what you're viewing from a staged standpoint. Do you view that as an issue?
Nah, bro. I'm gonna have to be honest, because like it goes to communication. I feel like when it comes to like sex life, like obviously like energies be different and stuff like that. But I feel like if your mate, now let me pull back first. If you into some next shit and they not with it, I could see there being a problem. But if it's like stuff like that, they're coming to you and say, hey, let's try this, and if you're really just not down to explore it, you gotta respect it. But if it comes to a point where it's like a lot of stuff, like if you become sexually frustrated because your partner is not willing to experiment and do different things that you're into, I mean, what's the difference? Like you driving down the street and you see a 2020 Benz and you like, oh, I want that. It's like, I mean, you didn't know anything about it until you saw it. I mean, I don't feel like it's a problem if you're watching porn, you see a position or something you want to try with your significant other. I mean, if you tell them hey, I saw this, like, what do you think about this? Maybe let's do this. And they be like, no, I'm not doing it. Okay.
You sound
okay.
disappointed. Okay.
I mean, and you're going to be disappointed. And you're going to have to go, you're going to still be on your same thing. You're going to be watching it and fantasizing about it. And then
that's where the addiction kicks in.
It can become a problem for somebody because here's the other thing. The person can go out and get it from somebody else if they really want it that bad.
Yeah.
If it's like, yo, like, I'm trying, my girl won't do doggy style. I really want to try that. If she's not doing it, there's guys who gonna be like, yo, she giving it up.
But do you feel like that's cause for to just leave the situation in general, like just leave the relationship? Because there are some people who, because I always ask people like, okay, what's your 3 things? Like, you know what I mean? Like some people's sex does not fall into their 3 things that they have, that they're non-negotiables. There are people that are like, if you are not willing to explore, I cannot be with you. Like we're not about to just stare in each other's eyes for an hour.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They need to do that other stuff. I know some people that are like that. And, where else you gonna get inspiration? You know what I'm saying? Where else you gonna think up stuff? Most people aren't that creative. Like I said, they're not that creative.
Yeah.
Like when we get in the moment, we not just like, all right, so I just gotta make sure I do position number 6 in the book. All right, cool. Like we don't do that, you know what I mean? So we're visual, and then we watch it. But I wanna speak a little bit to something that we spoke on, that we've been talking about, the desensitization piece, right? So I'll ask you, Indago. Do you feel it's an issue where, I know I've been through this before, I've gone through this, and this isn't just porn related, this is, like you said, sexual content, period, where I can remember vividly like being like 16, 17, and like women would send you exclusive photos, right? Someone that you're dealing with, and you would get excited. You just like, yo, this is the shit. You know what I'm saying? You would get so happy. But today, if that were to happen, kind of like we talked about in the last segment, I just wouldn't care. Because it does nothing for me. It does nothing to me. It's just like I could walk into strip club stone-faced and just be like, bro, why am I here? Like it does nothing for me. And I think it's because of how easily accessible that type of content is. And even on just like a basic level, like before, like when we were younger, it was like, oh, you gotta go view a porn star in order to see like this stuff. Now you can see it 2 followers down on your Instagram. You know what I mean? So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, do you feel that that's an issue that people are being desensitized to intimacy?
Yeah. There's some guys who get a rise out of getting pictures. I will say there's some guys who that's like what they need to see and they get off on that. But I don't feel like, as far as the intimacy part goes, I don't feel like it affects intimacy with someone. Cause I mean, yeah, I see all kinds of ass, and I love asses. On my timeline, I see girls showing their tits. I see all that. Well, as a female, from my perspective, like I see that, and I've even seen guys posting stuff, which I think it's really weird for guys to post like their package and drawers and mirrors and stuff. Like, why are you doing that? I think it's strange. But like when I see that, like it still makes me like, I still get a rise out of it. Like even with, I don't know, with you, you're a different person. Even with you, I don't know how that makes you feel, but like I feel like it still gets the spice going in a relationship. It still makes me want to get intimate with my partner. So I don't feel like it's that decent. I don't feel like it. I guess it just depends on the person, I would say. Yeah.
How you feel it?
I think it's different from a male and female perspective. I think don't get me wrong. I feel like there are men who, I mean, shit. There's men who pay for feet pictures and
Yeah,
shit
true,
like that.
bro.
You know what I mean?
Come on
So,
Let's not get into that.
but I think there is a bit of desensitization when it comes to it, because again, like you said, it's like you get that picture from the girl, and it's like, okay, cool, and then you can scroll down your timeline or go on Twitter, and you can see, see the same thing, or again that fantasy, because you're always gonna have like unless, and again, it's not even that. I feel like every man or every person kind of has like I feel like they kind of go through things like fantasies of the type of bodies and features and things that they like, and we tend to sometimes follow those things on different social medias, and as you go through it, one day you might see something like, oh, okay, damn, that's fire, and then another day that might not really pique your interest, but when it becomes a problem is again when your significant other sends you the photo and it does nothing for you. Yeah. I feel like that is, I won't say a problem, but I feel like it should bring something out of you. Like that gesture should bring something out of you. Because again,
I feel like it's like with certain like women or males who put themselves out there like that. If there's a woman that is not putting themselves out there, then it's like, why wouldn't you get like a rise out of that? You haven't seen it, and then it's like when you are intimate and when you see it, it's just like, oh, you look good. Like,
I don't think it's not that we don't acknowledge that they look good. It just doesn't give us that warm feeling of like, I feel like.
So would you feel this?
Exclusivity.
Would you feel the same way? So she sends you the picture. Nothing happens for you. You sitting in the living room and she comes out the bedroom and she's naked. How do you feel in that instance?
No, I'ma love that.
Okay, so.
But okay, so I'll give you this. I have been one in the past to skip intimate details that women do that they want you to pick up on, but you don't because you're trying to hurry up and get to the act. Case in point, you didn't notice that I wore like matching, you just ripped it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's where we start to see the level of intimacy decline, because back in the day, people, oh, you walk out in lingerie. See, now you notice you said naked, that's us. Back in the day, you could walk out in a robe and they be, oh my God, like this must be a special day. You know what I'm saying? But now I feel like we're just like, it don't even matter no more. Like, let's just get to it, And I think that is that kind of comes from, we just see it so much. Like we see women in bra and pants every single day. That's not an exaggeration. Every single day. And not to mention, we're in the industry. We film these things on a daily. Now, not to say that we don't do anything with them, but we see it. We're exposed to it every single day, right? So after a while, it's kind of just like, oh, that's bra and panties, cool. You know what I'm saying? They go a nipple, sweet. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, you used to, a nipple? And I have an example, right? One of my homies, he recently, like he's married, and he recently decided to stop watching porn and stop checking out women like that he would see at random, right? Yeah. So listen, so it was his decision. It's a drastic one, right? It's kind of like the diets where you're like, I'm only drinking water, it's kind of like that. But what he told me was, he was like, I've never in my life noticed more of my wife's beauty than now. Like, I appreciate her a lot more. Like, I can appreciate her features, her beauty, and all that stuff a lot more because I'm not constantly chasing. Because we as men, we chase the fantasies, right? We always, you see dudes paying for, like, we want the big butt. We chase the fantasies, right? That's something that we do. And in porn, especially, like, you know them days when you on page 623 because you can't find that perfect video. And that's real, because you're chasing. Because if it was that easy, you would just watch the first one you see.
Yeah, that's very true.
If it was literally just, I want to see two people doing this, you would click on the first video in the first category that you find. But you are chasing a very specific fantasy that you had on your mind for that hour.
Camera angle.
It might even change. It might even change mid-watch. You might be halfway through the video. You're like, nah. This ain't it. I gotta go to another one. You know what I'm saying? So,
oh my God.
I really feel like like I said, once again, I am for a porn. I do believe that it has a place in society. I think if you want to have that much sex, you want to get paid to do it, do it. And it's a legal way and it's clean, do that shit. It's your choice to watch it. But I do think the desensitization piece is something we need to stay keen on, because, I mean, we were watching Euphoria the other day, the TV show. And the dude, I don't know if he was a virgin or not, but he was talking about how he had watched all this porn, and then the first time he went to have sex with the girl, he tried to choke her to death. Because he thought, like, that's what you want. Like, that's what you need. Like, that's what women like. You just go, and she was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, you try to kill me, bro? Like, stop. Like, calm down. But it's like, and a lot of people will cite the lack of foreplay. Like, foreplay is kind of like gone by the wayside, because it's like you just want to get in there. So that's what I mean when I say like intimacy is kind of like coming down in people's, you know, person-to-person sexual interactions. Like, it's crazy when you have foreplay with a woman, they're like, I haven't done that ever. And you think to yourself, you're like, why? That used to be a thing. That used to be all we did when we were kids. Like, it's all we could do. But now it's like you just hop straight into it. You know what I mean? Lingerie done became like, I don't care about that. Like, so I do think the desensitization piece is probably the bigger piece. The addiction portion, I think that's a smaller portion of people. Like, you can get addicted to anything. And I think that's a smaller portion of people than the amount of people who consume sexual content on a daily. Like you said, kids have Instagram, bro. And the Explore pages don't discriminate the 50-year-olds to the 25-year-olds to the 10-year-olds to the 5-year-olds. Like, everybody gonna get this work. And if you search it once or you see one, now you down the rabbit hole. I don't know from a woman's perspective. I know from a male's perspective. Like I said, that page 623 is real. When you are literally searching for, thought this was going to be an hour session.
Pages.
A couple pages.
I've gone a few.
And you be pissed when that video you saw last week ain't on there no more. You be like, dog, and I know the exact name, and it's just not there. So yeah, the desensitization piece I do think is the bigger piece. But actually, Indago, I'm sorry, let me get this right. Let me ask you, what do you think people can do to, maybe if they still want to watch porn, still keep that intimacy factor when they do get into relationships?
Bring it into the relationship. You know, just bring it in, because I haven't done it in a while, but I don't know if I've ever done it in a relationship. I don't know if I have never put on a porn and just been like, hey baby, come here, let's do what they do on the TV. Like, I've never done that. I've never
stretch first.
Yeah, I've never done that. But I think
stretched first.
I don't think it's I'm not against it. I've never done it. I've never tried it, but I've tried a few things.
That's because you're the show, right?
Of course.
Exactly. You're the artist. Yeah, so you're the artist. You
don't want that shine. Don't need all that. I'm the show.
Yeah,
no, but I do like porn, and I mean, I'll give y'all my thing. I like to see a girl ride the guy. And if she's dry, I have to skip it, because, you know, a lot of those porn star bitches, they be dry. So you gotta be wet.
It got personal.
Shots fired.
It has to be wet. So it's like, I don't know if this is too much, but that's my thing. Like, I'll go through 652 pages to find that.
The one with the knees.
Yeah, you
know. The one with the knees.
She has to be wet. Like, it's like, if you're not wet, then it's just like, what are you doing? Like, this is a turn off for me. So it's like, that's what I do. And if we can put on something like that, and, you know, and then I can mimic that, then I'm all good for it, you know?
See, here's where I feel like it gets a little dicey, right? So you're searching for that, right? But when your partner's not that, and I know from a male's perspective, when your partner's not that, it gets a little difficult for some men to even want to do it in the first place.
Like that. When you say that, you mean side.
The fantasy. No, so you skipped all these pages to find that perfect knees and all of that, but what if your spouse has a bad knee? And so they can't do that. So now you have conditioned yourself to, if it's going to be riding, it's going to be this.
I mean,
and now you get in this bed and you're like, come on, when at the broken tire now.
Well, that would be somebody that I didn't really know. Like, I would already establish what he can do beforehand.
So you're fine with your partner not living up to the porn. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, as long as I'm getting mine, I'm good.
Okay. Some people can't handle the real not being what the fantasy kind of hyped it up to be. And I do, in a way, and I don't know if there's facts behind this, and somebody might crucify me for it, but I do, in a way, believe that comes from inexperience on the side of the person who expects the fantasy to be the same as the real. Because for me, they're two totally different categories. Porn and actual sex are two totally different categories to me, because like people ain't just waking up doing like this stuff. I mean, these people, and see, I'm a little different. I dig all the way down. I watch interviews. Like I listen to these people talk about their actual lives, like porn stars and everything. So I understand that they prepare immensely for these scenes. I'm not expecting somebody to just wake up and be ready to do all this stuff. So for me, it's two totally different things. And I don't want to go through that. I'm not trying, we want to have sex, let's just do that. I'm not trying to have you go prepare, do all that stuff, do this clean out and all that. No, come on now. I'm out of the mood now. So to me, they're two different things. They're not the same thing. But for someone who doesn't have as much experience on this side, and they have tons of experience on that side, I feel like it might create this false sense of like, what should happen when I come over here? And they don't have 637 pages worth of partners to scroll through to get to that perfect, you know what I mean? That perfect scenario of like the knees and, the wetness and all of that stuff. So to them, how do we help them? Drip King.
I think Ashley kind of like started to touch on something. Indigo started to touch on something that establishing the sexual connection between the two people before trying to introduce that, the porn aspect, or even if you're starting a new relationship, disconnecting from porn for that time period so that you can connect physically and see what that connection is. Because she kind of said like whether we have the porn or not, like as long as I get so if that person is physically pleasing you, the porn is just a little spice on, little spice on top. You know what I mean? So I think, again, being able to establish a true physical connection with your partner before, and then, like everything else, communicating and making sure that that person is willing to be adventurous or explore certain things with you. And it's gonna be times where might be something that you want to do that your partner not gonna want to get down with. I mean, and you just got to be like, okay, like I value this relationship enough to be like, okay, like it ain't that serious, If it is that serious, then maybe this is not the relationship for you. Because I'm a firm believer that, sexual connection, like me personally, sexual connection means a lot. Like being able to connect physically and be able to look at your partner day in and day out and see the beauty in them and wanting to, have sex with them and things like that is super important. And if that's important for you and it's not to your partner, you are going to have problems. You're going to have problems. So communicate, and just connect prior, like genuinely connect prior to getting, deeply involved with somebody. I feel like those two things are like super important. Yeah.
Big facts. Let's get into some closing thoughts. So, porn, toxic, non-toxic, a little bit of toxic. What we thinking?
Well, you guys telling me all these stories. I guess it can be toxic, but I don't think it's toxic. I like porn. I haven't watched it in a while.
Sounds like you're on the more moderation side.
Yeah, I'm just cool about it. Like, I like porn. I'll watch it. I'll put it on in a relationship. I'll watch it for myself. Watch it to learn some new things. Maybe I can try a few things. But other than that, nah, it's not toxic.
Shad, how we feeling?
It can be toxic. It takes the individual. If you ain't mentally there, and you go down that rabbit hole and you just keep digging, you end up on page 700.
Bro, it's tough. It's tough for you.
It definitely can be difficult. Because the addiction. I actually think there are more people who are addicted to porn than than we think. I don't think people are able to identify that they are. But I think if it's causing you to lack, connection in your relationship, or start to interfere with your
life.
your
Life.
normal life. Bro. Like
there are
if
people that gotta rub one out
you
in the
at work
bathroom.
and you gotta go and handle business during your work day, that's a problem, fam.
I found the wild glizzy.
Yo, I know.
Wow.
I was listening to Breakfast Club and Charlamagne gave donkey to some lady who like literally during the Zoom call, she like, I guess she didn't mute the sound, or she didn't like turn off the screen, and she was masturbating during a meeting.
Oh my
yes,
God.
Jesus,
yes,
that's serious.
Because she was bored.
Yeah, that's when it. Yeah.
Because she was bored.
That does become an issue when it starts
So
to
it's
interfere with
like-
your life.
And I'm not saying I don't know if she hasn't, but there are literally people who like, like you at work and you gotta skedaddle to the restroom to take care of business,
I had no idea that was part of this
Yeah,
process.
so
No, that's
if
the
it start
thing.
interfering with your
I didn't know
regular
that was a
life,
thing.
you might got a problem. But outside of that, I think it can be great for relationships. It can add some spice, like you said, learn some new things, keep your intimacy at a high level. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I would echo those same sentiments and just kind of add like, understand where you are as a person before you start indulging in this. Like it is
Yeah.
something that can get
Yeah.
addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has the potential to be. I don't necessarily think that it's an addictive substance, even though they do say that it releases. I want to say like dopamine, is it, or something it releases in you, like when you
Dopamine,
do it,
yep.
like it gives you that high.
Mm-hmm.
So just understand, like, if you're not someone who's fluid with your feelings and understands the difference between, how this is making me feel versus, regular intimacy, and you can't, and then you're blurring those lines, then step back. Like, just like with anything else, like it's okay to, kind of step away and, rekindle that same fire that you had for maybe your significant other or for, other acts of passion. But it can get toxic if you let it. It's one of those things, alcohol is legal, but that don't mean it can't get to a point where, you shouldn't be doing this no more. So if it starts to interfere with stuff that it shouldn't interfere with, if it gets past the glizzy, then that's a problem.
Don't
So-
go in the bedroom
Don't-
choking your person.
That's something you ain't even talked about
You
yet.
ain't
Like, that's
talked
something
about it.
y'all
Like,
ain't even had a
what the fuck are you
discussion
doing,
or nothing. Just like first time, what?
Traumatizing.
Undertaker over here choke slamming people. Well, I thought that was normal. Nah, that ain't normal, fam. You don't just do that. But nah, like, just understand where you're at mentally, emotionally, right? That can be something that you pick up when you're at a low point, and that ain't the right time to do it. And you end up one of those people where you need one during the meeting. You know what I'm saying? You just have to, you know what I'm saying? You got to get one off real quick, mid-Zoom.
Bro, I ain't never that pressed. What?
Right, like that is insane to me.
Yeah, but I mean,
That is really
the
insane.
reality is that there's things like that going on, and if that is happening to you, then please seek help. And
You gonna
no,
put
I'm
the
serious.
hotline
Like,
at the
I don't have one.
I'm not
but-
gonna make fun of that because it's a real thing.
Yeah,
It's
no,
a
like
real- it's a real thing.
seriously, like seek help if it's preventing you from having actual relationships.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if it is getting to the point, kind of like we talked about with social media, if it's getting to the point where you can no longer have human on human intimacy
yeah.
because this is such an issue, then please seek help, take a break, make sure that shit is under control. On the flip side, some of y'all might need to be a little bit more exploratory. Maybe
This is
you need
fact-
some
this
new
is facts.
positions. Maybe, no, I ain't gonna say that, but maybe you need to wheel that laptop in like the teachers used to do with the cart with the TV on top with the projector. Maybe you need to wheel that laptop in the bedroom and learn some things, because it has helped a lot of us with that stuff. But that's gonna do it, guys, for another episode of the Raw Daddy Hour. Is porn toxic to you? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I appreciate y'all for coming through. Grandma, I see you, girl. Appreciate my guests, Ashley, Drip King. Appreciate y'all for coming through. We'll catch you on the next one. We out.